Hello everyone, Danny here today to talk to you about the book Jorundyr's Path, written by Duncan M. Hamilton and narrated by Simon Vance. In this video, I'm going to cover the direction, the narrative, and kind of the flow of the story, the job that the narrator does. I will also, as I do in all my videos, cover anything that I think parents should be aware of in case they want to listen to the book with or around their children. Before I get started though, if you love audiobooks and you're wanting a little bit of help picking them out, you hate getting partway into a book only to discover, hey, this isn't what the publisher summary made it sound like, the narrator sucks, whatever. Subscribe. Turn on notifications down in the comments section. Let me know of any books you would like me to check out for you, any questions you may have. I'll listen to them. I'll leave a review. You take it from there. Now, to the book. This is the second book in Duncan Hamilton's Wolf of the North series. The first book ended with Wulfric, almost forgot his name there, with Wulfric deciding to leave to avenge a blood debt. He believes Adelaide is dead. Adelaide believes he's dead. Adelaide has fled to the south. He avenges himself on one enemy, Donato, and then he heads south to avenge himself on another one. He has a blood debt that he is going to collect. This book, as far as the flow of the book goes, is a little different than book one. So book one, almost everything centered around either Wulfric or the town Wulfric was in. This book actually tells several stories at the same time. So it bounces all over the place. So the beginning of each chapter, the narrator will say a name. Wulfric, Adelaide, Ethelman. That tells you whose story he's going to. Typically, when books jump around like that, it gets really hard to follow the narrative of the story. Very easy to get lost. The author does a good enough job with this that does not happen. One of the things that the author does that I think really helps out is there aren't long pauses where a story gets skipped. Oftentimes, with a book that follows several narratives, it'll follow a narrative for like 4 hours and ignore all the other narratives. So then when it jumps back to the other narratives, you're like, wait a minute, what was happening? You got to remember what happens. That doesn't. Actually, I'm really impressed with the way Mr. Hamilton was able to follow, up to 5, 6 narratives simultaneously, still have it feel like it flowed, make it easy to follow. I never lost where it was. I did learn to pay attention to that name at the beginning so that I knew whose story it was jumping to. Now, with Wulfric's narrative, he heads south. He kills someone who's on his list of people he owes a blood debt against. He almost, but doesn't quite, discover Adelaide, has to flee, falls in with a mercenary company, goes on a ship off to war, gets betrayed. Him and the company decide that they now have a blood debt that they need to collect. And so they come back, they collect their blood debt, and it ends with them being given a reward and deciding to head back home. As far as Adelaide goes, hers was, for me, the most surprising direction for a story to take. Based on how the last book ended, I basically expected Adelaide to be forced into becoming someone's mistress. She's going to head south. She's going to get taken advantage of. She is going to be forced into this ugly situation. That doesn't happen. Adelaide actually has a really good life in the South, and it becomes very clear that the people who conspired to drive her and Wulfric apart, that the one that you think was the instigator wasn't truly the instigator. He obviously missed her as for someone to take care of his kids missed her, and other people misinterpreted that and took actions that I don't think he would have approved of if he'd have known what they were going to do. I think he would have disapproved. She, however, makes life a wonderful life for herself. She discovers her magic, which she has to keep hidden. She does discover that Wulfric is alive. However, she has to decide, am I going to continue waiting for Wulfric, who may now be dead, who I may never run into, or I'm going to allow myself to fall in love with this person I'm starting to fall in love with. I'm going to let you listen to the story to figure out which direction she takes. Aethelman does his research into I call it the Godstone. The author calls it something else. I can't remember what he calls it. But anyhow, does his research into the stone, possibly discovers how to destroy it, and sets out after this. He does discover how to discover. Sorry, trying to be clever, it didn't work. And sets off to destroy the stone. Now, towards the end of the book, one of those main characters dies. And I got to admit, I was kind of disappointed in the way they died. It wasn't bad writing on the author's part. It's just not how I personally would have liked to have seen them die. There's several questions left open for the third book, which I'm about to start on. You know, the narrator, Simon Vance, same narrator for the first book, does just as good a job as the first book. I would give the same cautions that I gave for the first book. There is some foul language in this book. It is not excessive by any stretch of the imagination, but it is there. There is nothing remotely sexual in the book at all. There are some lewd comments or jokes. I'd actually forgotten about that. There are some lewd comments or jokes that are made by some members of the company, but they're like rare. So not anything excessive, but it is something that, you know, if you listen to it around little kids, may get them going, Mom, what are they talking about there? Dad, what are they talking about there? Kind of a thing. So some really nice things that crop up in the book is you get a better history of I think they're called the lodestones. The lodestones. You get more details on the gods, on Audin, who is one of their gods. You learn how Wulfric was given the name Wulfhere, something like that, and what that name means, which was really cool. I mean, it's one thing to know how he's given the name, but what's the meaning behind the name? And you learn not just how he was given the name, but what the meaning, what the story behind the name is. It is an excellent, thoroughly enjoyable book. Can't wait to start on book 3. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like my channel, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you have any questions, comments, feedbacks, and it's what the comment section's for. Put them in there. I will get back to you. But most of all, no matter what else you do today, make sure that today you listen to at least one really good book. And I highly recommend Jorundyr's Path, however you pronounce it, by Duncan M. Hamilton. Thank you.